Hello everyone, here I am, feeling inspired to teach this morning, which is a miracle in itself. I was doing MMT this morning, which is mystical mind training with David Hoffmeister, and I think I'm second year in around about 18 months now, and I'm on the module of communication. And there was an essay this morning that really encouraged me to look at where I was denying communication, where I was denying being a teacher of God. And I have to say it really touched a nerve, because recently I was saying, maybe I really don't have to do anything at all. And I just need to be quiet and be still and listen. So I really don't need to teach or communicate anything. And then I listened to the ego that said, there are 1,000,001 beautiful course teachers in the world. Is there really room for another one? Who wants to listen to you when there are such magnificent teachers out there already? What would be the benefit of you being a teacher at all? Well, I took this to the Holy Spirit and asked him to show me truth, and I was taken to a part in A Course in Miracles, and a line that said, for every teacher, 1,000 years of suffering is saved. There was my answer. There was my answer. Of course there is great need for teachers. Who wouldn't want to save time and suffering? So I realized probably that I wasn't stepping into my function as a teacher. And then I realized there was something much deeper than that going on. Because I recorded some Spreaker shows and there was no sound. And so I thought, what is this showing me? It's like I'm not being heard. I'm not being heard. I have the willingness to teach, but I'm not being heard. And it's the same with my writing. I've shared miracle experiences in a book. And truly given everything to the book and spent a lot of money publishing it, yet it doesn't seem to have sold any copies. All the people that were interested in it and asking me to hurry up with it, they don't seem at all interested now. And so I thought there must be something deeper, real deep, that is stopping me from being the teacher. And I prayed on it, and what came up for me was a memory that flushed into my mind that I'd completely forgotten about. And it was a memory of me as a child. Now, as a child, the storyline of abuse was so intense that I didn't speak ever. I was too afraid to speak. Yet this memory that came up was a time when I was 12 years old, and I'd just gone into high school. I guess it was my first public speaking experience, and I would never have guessed it or known it. I'd completely forgotten. But it was still there, sitting in my subconscious memory. Now I was 12 years old. I'd just gone up into high school, which was a huge change for me. It was a change that I was very uncomfortable with. I seemed to get separated from all my friends that I'd been in junior school with, and all these new faces were around me, and I just felt way out of my comfort zone, and I wanted to withdraw and isolate myself from them. I had these huge rushes of hormones in my body, and I was unsure and uncertain about who I was, and my confidence levels were very uncertain and insecure. So when I met my drama teacher, she looked like the meanest woman that you've ever seen, and I've never seen a woman looking so mean, and all the kids were saying, "Oh my word, she is the meanest teacher on the block." And she was our form tutor, so took our register, but she was also our drama teacher. And on our first drama lesson, we were taken into this hall. I don't know, the two classes combined, so there's like 60 kids, I guess. And she told us that we were to be insane rubber men who had landed on the moon, and we were to act that out. And I felt so much humiliation and embarrassment and fear that I just didn't feel I could do it. Yet when I saw all of my brothers doing it, it seemed easy. So I did it. And at the end of that, everyone sat down, and the hall went still and silent. And this drama teacher decided that she was going to pick someone out and put them on the stage and give them a silly, crazy task to do. And today she was asking me to do just that. I just felt this level of sickness rising in me, and fear and embarrassment and humiliation. I felt so uncomfortable. But this was serving me in a great way, because it was serving me to find my own voice and to actually stand up and use it. And for the first time, I actually stood up at age 12 and I said, "No, I can't do that. I'm sorry, I can't do that. Choose someone else." Well, this teacher was furious. And she said to me, "You will do that, because I will force you to do that." And I said, "No, I'm sorry, I won't." She got very angry and tried to manipulate me in as many ways as she could. But my no was a firm no. By this time she was enraged, and she grabbed me by the arm and dragged me from the hall and took me into her private office. There she took out the keys from her pocket and unlocked this cabinet. She took out a huge cane, like a stick, and it was obvious that she wanted to hit me with it. She told me that this was so, and that I was to drop my pants or put my hand out. Well, I preferred to take a beating across the palm of the hand than across the bum cheeks. It was too embarrassing for me to take my pants off in front of her, so I put out my hand. And it's interesting, looking back at it now, I could say no to humiliation, but when it came to abuse and being struck and hit and physically hurt, I said yes. I mean, I just had the courage to say no to her, but when it came to receiving this punishment, I rolled over like a puppy dog. And I found that so interesting. Why did I do that? Because I was conditioned to believe that I was unworthy and that I was deeply guilty and that I deserved to be abused and punished and hurt. And the only way that I could make amends for my unworthiness and guilt was to accept the punishment. I mean, if I accepted this punishment, then God would be pleased with me, huh? So that's what I'd been conditioned with, this deep unworthiness, that I had to be abused in order to bring back the balance. And so it was interesting that I put out my hand and accepted that she wanted to strike me. This teacher was so furious with me, so angry, that I defied her in front of all those people. Not once, but 3 or 4 times. She was so angry that she channeled this rage through this cane, and she pulled it back with such force and whacked me with so much force that it stung like I could never even describe. But you know, my hand remained perfectly still, and I didn't flinch. It was as if she hadn't touched me. Because one thing I had learned as a child was how to switch off my feeling body. I could take all levels of abuse and not feel a thing. That's what I learned early on. Well, this just enraged her. She wanted me to hurt, and she wanted to see me hurt, so she struck me again, a second time, but this time much harder. But still, I never flinched. By this time she was furious, and she gave all in this next strike, yet still I didn't flinch. She was really furious. And then I saw her writing in this book. And I knew, intuitively, I don't know how, but I knew she was only allowed to strike me 3 times. And I felt kind of satisfied by that. But you see, this has remained deep within my subconscious as an experience of my first public speaking. And the result of my public speaking was to be punished, severely punished. And so that was really what was in my mind. But underneath all that is just the fact that after all the healing that's gone on, I still am afraid of God. I still am afraid of love. I still have this deep belief in unworthiness, that I am unworthy to stand before God and speak. I am unworthy to be a teacher of God and have His word pour through. I felt that I was unworthy of Him. And it's so not true. And so all that has been released now and forgiven completely. And I am affirming now that I am worthy, I am innocent, and I am truly, truly loved. And that I have been chosen as a teacher, and I say yes to that role, a full yes. And I will speak whenever I'm guided to. And so that's what happened this morning on MMT. And as I did that release, I went off to the bathroom and then put the kettle on. And then I came back and I did a blog on Facebook. And I realized, wow, I've just done some teaching on Facebook. So straight away the effect is seen. You know, I'm out there again, being willing to teach. And so here I am. And what I wanted to share with you today was the insanity of the ego. I know I've gotten a little off track there with my MMT sharing, but it's quite It's quite a deep release, so yeah, it's good that I've shared that with you. So the insanity of the ego. Just a couple of days ago, I prayed for a deep experience of innocence. Innocence and love, that's what I prayed for, a deep experience of innocence. And that morning, Molly and I headed off to the train station. Now, the ego strives to keep me separate from God by inducing me to accept guilt within my own mind. How does the ego do this? It tricks me with a dance in form. It wants me to see guilt in my brothers. If I accept guilt in them, then I am confirming that who I am is guilty. This confirms that I am an ego and that I am separate from God. This thinking imprisons both me and my brother. So this particular day, heading off to the train station, I had a deep experience of the movement of thought in which I became the observer of it. I was the observer of the thoughts. Molly and I were running for this train that we were due to catch. We could see it coming, but we were on the wrong platform at the time. So we raced through the underground tunnel and up the stairs to reach our platform. But the driver had put the doors on lockdown. She saw me coming and shouted out to me, "Come here and enter through the driver's cabin." I was grateful to her that she'd invited me to do this. When I was in the driver's cabin, I heard a woman shouting, "Wait! Wait! Wait!" The train driver said, "I'm not waiting. I'm already late." As I entered the main body of the train to sit down, I saw this woman banging on the train door and begging to be let on. But the train began to pull away, and she was devastated. She raised her hands in the air and cried, "No!" Suddenly, I became aware of movement of thought. The mind was telling a story of guilt. What a mean train driver! She was cruel and out of order. She should have waited. She could have waited just for a few seconds. It would not have killed her to be kind, would it? I didn't buy this story of guilt. I could see the movement of thought, and I was not going to buy this story of guilt. So then, the story of guilt moved on. This time, the story was about the woman who missed the train. She was a blithering idiot who couldn't get anything right in her life. She paid no attention to her inner guidance, and she couldn't organize a drink in a pub. She was completely useless and deserved to miss that train. Again, I refused to accept this guilt in my brother. I knew that life was pouring through them and that each and every one of us was receiving a perfect lesson. This was a lesson that we all asked for, and that nothing was wrong. Only our perception about it could be wrong. It was all perfect, and there was a very good reason for missing that train that was not yet in her awareness. What a blessing it was for her to miss that train. What a blessing it was that the driver had honoured her wish by not waiting. I felt truly blessed in the moment to see my brothers in innocence and accept innocence in myself. And suddenly I looked up and I saw that I was, in fact, on the wrong train. Instantly I told myself, no, there is no wrong or right. Only what life is offering to me in this moment now. It can never be wrong. It only is what it is. Then I realized that I was meant to be on that train so that I could witness the movement of thought. It was truly a gift to me. It was absolutely beautiful. So I just got off at the next stop and made my connection. Nothing was wrong. Later that evening, when I got home, I saw a post on Facebook by Sarita Premley. She posted a similar story, but her lady was running for a bus. The driver wanted to pull off and leave the woman on the roadside, but Sarita got up from her seat and made sure the driver waited. Guess what? The ego wanted to make me guilty now. I must have been guilty for not stopping the train and for not being more loving and kind. I refused to accept this guilt that was on offer to me now, because it was all perfect. Was Sarita better than me? Did she do right and I do wrong? No, not at all. Sarita was being done through. It was all perfect. She was serving me by giving me the opportunity to accept guilt or strengthen the idea of innocence in my mind. I accept my own innocence now, and I accept my own innocence every time. I must accept innocence in my brother if I am to keep it. And this has been the lesson for me. We have been conditioned to accept that our brother is separate from us, that they are different from us, and that they are guilty and deserving of judgment and punishment. But it's been a conditioned lie. I was conditioned to believe that this was true, but it is not true at all. And so it is my job now to be truly attentive. When I see a dance of form before me, I know that it is a perfect gift to accept the innocence in my brother and reinforce the innocence in the self, and put an end to all suffering now. And this is my lesson today. And I share it with you because I wish to strengthen it. And I'm truly grateful for all of you that have listened and have taken this idea, this thought, and strengthened it in my mind. I'm truly grateful to my brother who is me and is my saviour. And I give you nothing but blessings of love as you go about your day. I will be here again for sure, because I'm saying a big fat yes to teaching and a big fat yes to truth. And so you'll be hearing from me again. Bye for now.